October 5th, I gave birth to a 3-pound 9-ounce baby boy. And I remember laying on this table looking, and I saw the doctor pass the baby to a nurse. And the baby barely even screamed. You know, he didn't make a lot of noise. So at this point, I'm like, oh gosh. And while I was laying on the table, I remember the doctor saying, oh my God. So I literally braced myself and was, I'm like, okay, here it is. Because I already prepared myself, like something's wrong, something happened, everything.
A missing arm.
Yeah, I was just like, okay, here it is. This was what I was waiting for, the bad news. The doctor motioned for the other doctor and nurses to come over. And what he did, he held up, after you give birth, you pass your placenta. And that's where the baby gets his or her supply from. And he held up my placenta, and what he showed the doctor was, look here. Half of my placenta you could see had blood flow, and the other half was literally black and dead. No blood flow whatsoever. And so the doctor said that's why this child wanted to come out, because he was fighting for his life. He couldn't survive anymore in my womb, so he had to get out. And it was at that point I just tried to hold it in, but tears just started coming out, because I'm like, just look at what I did. I thought I wasn't worthy enough to raise this child. So I decided, at this point I was contemplating giving him up for adoption. So I decided not to see the child whatsoever until I made up my mind. So I was in my bed, and my mother came, and she's like, you need to see your son. He looks just like you. And I'm like, oh, he's okay. I'll see him later. And I kept postponing it. But they didn't know I was contemplating giving my child up for adoption. So I decided not to see him. And finally, there was this nun that came, and everybody, it was a nun, my mom, my nephew, my sister, and everybody was like, you have to see this baby, you have to see this baby. And the nun came, and she said, the baby will do much better if you see him. And this is like 3 days after I gave birth. I finally decided to go and see the baby. And I went, and I remember walking into the ICU, and I'm standing in front of the incubator, and the nurse is like, touch him. And I was very hesitant, because I'm like, okay, I saw him, let me go. And so I finally decided to put my hand into the incubator, and as I touched his hands, this child grabbed my fingers. It was surreal. When he grabbed my fingers, it was just like him saying, I forgive you, now help me. And I'm like, I'm there, and I just couldn't stop. I started crying, because I'm looking at the child that I wanted to kill. I didn't want, and I tried to kill him. And now he's here, and it was as if though he's saying, I forgive you for trying to kill me. Now let's do this together. And at that point I cried, and I vowed that I was going to take care of this child no matter what. After everything I've done for him, yet he could forgive me.
It's like he was still reaching out, like, Mom, you're like,
and they're so innocent, you know, they need someone to take care of them. And the same person that God chose to take care of these kids are the same ones that are attacking them, literally trying to kill them. And I looked at my son, and I'm like, I don't know why, but it all went down to me. So it was either me or him, and I chose me. And at this point, I chose not to choose me anymore.
Can you please just share how you got over the guilt, you know, of trying to kill your son? Explain how spiritually, like, how did you change at all?
It wasn't until literally I picked up the Bible. Somebody gave me a Bible, and I started reading it, that God started convicting me about certain things in my life, not even about abortion, but just certain things about my life that he started convicting me. And he called me out, he pulled me out from amongst my family, And I know that's how the Lord works at times with different people.
Right.
To get you by yourself. Because I know around my family, it would be hard for the Lord to talk to me. Because around my family, I was very exalted. And the Lord cornered me and just stripped me of everything. And He started convicting me. And just one day, the conviction came so hard about my son. I remember my nephew invited me to Passion for Christ Bible study. And I went, and I'm there and I'm listening. And the conviction hit me so hard that I started crying. Because then it clicked, Catherine. In John 3:16, we say, "For God so loved the world that He gave His only Son." It clicked like, Catherine, He loves you, that He died for you. You as a murderer. Yes, you. And then it just went to like, God died for liars, fornicators, every single thing started coming back. All the memory verse, I'm like, dude, every single one of those person was me. God died for liars, murderers, fornicators. I'm like, He died for me. And the Bible says, while we were yet sinners, Christ died. And I'm like, and it clicked. I'm there, and I started crying, and I just started confessing because I never told anyone about my abortion issue. And I remember being in the Bible study, and I had to say something because it just was on me so heavy. And I just started talking. And it was at that point, everybody started looking at me because I believe they know that, nah, she understands now. Because now the gospel clicked. I'm like, oh my God, God, you became man and died. You had to die for me because I was your enemy. And man, at that point, every single thing I read out of the Bible made so much sense. Like my eyes were open, my heart was open, every single thing was open, and God just started pouring out and talking to me. And I just asked Him, I repented, asked Him to forgive me, and it was at that point that that guilt, that burden was literally lifted. And I'm like, wow, all that time, even while I was in the church, a couple of months before I visited Passion for Christ, that guilt was still there. So you're in the church praising, still hoping nobody knows your dark hidden secret or the things that you did in the world. But the thing is that when God delivers you, you're so grateful to tell someone that, look here, girl, if God could forgive me for this, He could forgive you for anything. And I'm like, I am so grateful that I'm still alive. And God has shown me so much mercy, and He showed my son so much mercy. And it's also at that point that God literally placed in me a true love for my son. Because at first I didn't know how to love this child. I was scared to love him because I was like, man, what if he finds out? What if this child dies and I'm connected to him? And the Lord just gave me the peace, and I'm like, you can love him.
Thank you guys for watching, and I hope Catherine's testimony was a blessing to you. If you are someone who is considering abortion, please email Catherine at xabortionist@p4cm.com. She's willing to labor with you so that you can honor God in your decision. And if you are someone who's already gotten an abortion and God has changed your heart about it, please go to p4cm.com. Break the silence with us. Rock your ex-abortionist shirt so that the whole world can know the power of God. Thank you guys for watching, and this is Kayla Monique, and I'm signing out. Peace.
I just wanna tell the truth. I just wanna tell the